G'day guys and welcome back. Today I want to talk about the must-have travel gear for content creators and travel filmmakers. So for those of you that don't know me, my name's Tom. I'm a travel filmmaker, and when there's no deadly viruses getting around, I'm normally traveling full-time and filming on the road. There is a bit of a transition happening with my gear at the moment. Coming into the end of the year, I have pretty much replaced nearly everything I have. I've spent thousands of hours researching, and I want to pass that knowledge on to you in this video. So everything I own follows two main principles. Firstly, I am very much a minimalist. Everything I travel with has to go on my back and I have to carry it everywhere I go. So everything's got to be lightweight. I have to really ask myself, is it necessary and is it absolutely essential to my filmmaking? And my second main priority when it comes to gear is what is the cost to performance ratio. I always try to strike a nice balance between those two and make sure I'm not overpaying for stuff that I don't need to be. And that really ties into a question I get asked more than anything else, and that is, how can you travel so much? And the answer to that honestly comes down to money. Not that I have a lot of money, but I am very good at knowing where to spend that to get the most bang for my buck. So that all ties into the gear I have as well. So firstly, let's start with the camera, and this is my most recent purchase. It's the brand new A7S III. It has a lot of high-end specs and can film 4K, slow motion, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, people are still watching your videos online at 1080p or on Instagram. And if you're just getting into content creation, I wouldn't really recommend this camera. The value option is still gonna be the A7 III. You could probably buy a used one for about $1,200 US right now. And if you compare that to the brand new price of the A7S III, it's about a third the cost. And like I said, if you put these two images side by side, you can have a really hard time figuring out which one's actually better. The other Sony option that's worth considering is the new A7C. And this is essentially the A7 III in a smaller body. So if minimalism and having a smaller kit is a priority for you, that's definitely the best option. Okay, let's move on to my three favorite Sony lenses. So let's start with this one right here, my absolute favorite. It's the 24-105 f4. I probably use this lens for literally 90% of my shooting. The reason why it's so good is because the focal length of 24mm is just wide enough that I can vlog on it. It goes all the way up to 105mm, which gives you a pretty good range. The reason I'm not too fussed about it being f4 and not 2.8 is that most of the time I'm shooting in broad daylight anyway, and it's very rare for me to be at that shallow depth of field. On the front of this one, I have the Polar Pro ND filters, because like I said, I am filming in the day a lot of the time. My next most recent purchase is this guy. For the longest time, I haven't had a telephoto lens, and I used to own a Canon 200mm, and it was about this long, and I would never consider traveling with it. But this Tamron lens is 70-180mm. It's not that much bigger than a normal lens, and it has a constant 2.8 aperture, and this thing is so sharp. I'll put up some footage that I've got with it, but it's just absolutely gorgeous, and I'm very excited to travel with this one in the future. The third lens that I own is the 16-35, which is on the camera right now. I honestly just use this for vlogging. It's not a super sharp lens, it's f4, it's not great. Sometimes you just need that slightly wider focal length to get your whole face in. If there's a lens that I'm currently missing from my kit, I would say it's probably a 1.4 really sharp prime lens, because I don't currently have anything that has that super low depth of field, which sometimes I miss. Okay, next up is a piece of gear that I don't really recommend because I've only used it about 3 times, but if you're looking for the smallest travel gimbal, it's this one. It's a Zion Weebill Lab. There's a newer model called the Weebill Lab S, and yeah, that's the smallest gimbal that you can buy right now that will hold your camera. In terms of tripods, this is something I've debated for the longest time. I normally just travel with this. It's definitely good for when you're trying to vlog. And the idea is these can be mounted pretty much anywhere with these legs, but they're very limited. In general, traveling with a big tripod is just a huge hindrance, and it's only recently that I've swayed back and decided to start traveling with one again. And that's essentially because I found that this tripod right here, what this offers is pretty much a full-size tripod. It only comes up to about chest height, but it's enough to cover my needs. But the reason why it's so good is because it is absolutely tiny and it weighs less than 1 kilogram, which is honestly insane. Traditionally, you could never get away with this because you needed a nice heavy tripod that would be weighed down and wouldn't have any micro vibrations sent through the camera. However, with the invention of IBIS, not the bird, the in-body camera stabilization, the camera is able to take out pretty much all micro jitters, which means you can have these very lightweight tripods, and once you lock off the camera on them, the shot's going to be really steady. So that's essentially why I've come around to tripods, and I will be traveling with this very light one in the future. Alright, next let's talk about drones. Here is my absolute baby, the Mavic 2 Pro. I travel with it in this hard case, which is very useful because most of the time when you're going on an adventure, you're not bringing your whole camera bag. You're bringing a backpack with some boardies, a towel, and you just want to be able to chuck your drone in with everything else. And that's what the hard case allows you to do. So this is the Polar Pro minimalist hard case. And inside we have the drone. I've crashed this countless times, as you've probably seen if you watch my YouTube channel. And she still survives. So rugged, so sturdy, and I just absolutely love it. This camera was released over 2 years ago and it's still the best drone on the market. I also travel with a GoPro. This is the Hero 8. This is just very useful for when I'm telling narrative films. It's pretty inconvenient to have my large camera out, so I can just kind of put this on my chest and be filming, and I can get people's reactions without it being really over the top. Other than that, you can take it underwater, get a few shots there. It's not super cinematic, but it just fills in that extra little void when you can't have your A camera. When it comes to cleaning your lens, you can't really go past a lens pen. These have a little carbon tip which neutralizes fingerprints and grease smudges. You can pick them up pretty cheap off Amazon for about 20 bucks. In terms of microphone, I still can't go past a Rode VideoMic Pro. While you might buy a camera every 2 or 3 years these days, a microphone's generally something you could keep for 5 years or even a decade. So Rode offers lifetime warranty and they're just a really good brand. I've never had any problems with them. Okay, next let's get into the post-production side of things and talk about laptops. So there's obviously going to be the debate of Mac versus PC.
You know how it is.
And I'm not trying to sway anyone. If you use Mac, go for it. All I will say is that if you're trying to make up your mind between the two, just know that if you're choosing Mac, you're paying about double for the same performance. So I've been in the market for a new laptop for about a year, and I have dove way too deep into the YouTube algorithm, and I've watched hundreds of hours of laptop reviews. And what that has led me to is buying this one right here. I'll get to the brand in a second, but I'll tell you firstly what you should be looking for in a new PC laptop. When it comes to content creation, the #1 priority is having a very fast processor. Historically, Intel's always had the market share when it comes to processing power. However, what happened this year was quite interesting in that AMD took the throne with the release of their new Ryzen chips. So my #1 recommendation right now is if you're buying a new laptop, make sure it has a Ryzen 7 or a Ryzen 9. This will guarantee that your laptop is as powerful as possible. A common misconception is that you also need a really fast graphics card because you're working with photo and video. That's not necessarily true. The processor is actually much more important. But in saying that, you do need a dedicated graphics card. So for this, you'd be looking at wanting to get an RTX 2060 or above. But to be honest, again, the 2060 is by far the value option, and it's not as important as it seems. It's more important for computer gaming, to be honest. The third thing that you want to look out for is a nice color accurate screen. And this is normally represented by an ARGB. And you want to look for something above 95 to 100. So this laptop has all three of those boxes checked, and it only costed me about $1,200 US. So again, this laptop would be more powerful than the latest MacBook for less than half the price. So this laptop is made by a company in America called Electronics, and the model for this one is the RP15. And the good thing is it's very light, it weighs less than a kilogram, and it's quite slim as well, so very happy with this. Okay, next off, I'm just gonna fire off 4 of my favorite gadgets that I travel with. So right here I have a little hard case that holds all my hard drives and computer gear. But inside of here I always travel with a mouse. I cannot edit without a mouse, and this is the best one that I've found on the market. It comes in a box that looks like this one. It's called the Logitech MX Anywhere, and this is the 2S. Okay, my next gadget is my absolute favorite. It is a portable SSD, and look how small this thing is. This is a 2 terabyte hard drive. It's absolutely tiny. If I compare it to my 4 terabyte traditional hard drive, it's a fraction of the size. So going forward, I'm only gonna buy SSDs. They're a little bit more expensive, but in terms of the size and the speed that you're actually able to edit 4K off these things, so worth it. The other thing I just wanted to mention quickly is on the Mac versus PC debate, the issue that gets brought up more than anything is, yeah, but if I switch to PC, then I don't have AirDrop. So really, you're paying twice the price for the laptop just for that one feature. Instead, I use this little guy right here, which is just a USB, and then on the other end is a lightning port, which means once I've transferred the files, they can go straight into my iPhone. Okay, my third gadget that I don't think I could travel without is a pair of noise cancelling headphones. And these are just so good for on a plane when you're next to a crying baby or stuff like that and you don't have a worry in the world. So some of the higher end noise cancelling brands like Sony, you're looking to pay 250 to 300 US for a pair of noise cancelling headphones. These ones I picked up for 45 US. The quality isn't quite as good, the noise cancelling isn't quite as good, but it is honestly 90% of the way there. And these were a no-brain purchase for me. They're called the Tautronic Sound Surge, and I've been very happy with them. Okay, my fourth and final gadget is one you definitely don't want to forget when you're overseas. It is essentially just a power adapter. I'm sure you've seen one before, but this one is much better than any I've seen because it has 4 USBs on the bottom, as well as a USB-C fast charger, which is becoming more and more important. This one also has a fuse box, so it protects your laptop from power surges, and it has all the power plugs of the world. This one is about 15 US on Amazon. So like I said, everything on this list is super minimalist. It fits in one backpack, and I guess this would be my final recommendation. This is a backpack I bought maybe 10 years ago, and all of this gear fits in this one bag. So it is absolutely perfect for me. I hope some of that was helpful for you guys. I always try to keep things as short and succinct as possible. Just hit the link in the description. It has all the items laid out for you, as well as a few others that didn't make it into this video. Hope you enjoyed watching. If you want some of this gear, share this video to a loved one and say, hint, hint, this is what I want for Christmas. Thank you guys. Subscribe for more travel videos, and I'll see you next time. Just quickly guys, if you're someone that edits in Adobe Premiere Pro, I have one more bonus for you, and that is my advanced video editing course. And this is a course I've designed to take people with a base level of knowledge inside Premiere Pro and teaching them the fundamentals to become an advanced video editor. And this is done by teaching the keyboard shortcuts and workflows that I use professionally when I work for high-end clients. And a lot of the techniques I'm showing in this course are the techniques that allow me to edit 2 to 3 times faster than even professional editors. These are personal systems that I've developed over the years, and I guarantee a lot of this stuff can't be found anywhere else on the internet. But to celebrate its launch, I'm offering the first 50 customers 80% off, which means you can pick up the whole course for $19, which is an absolute no-brain purchase when you consider how much time this is going to save you going forward, being able to edit your videos much faster and be doubling your video output. Anyway, link is in the description. Check it out, have a look, let me know what you think, and I will see you all in the next one.